he didn't tell me anything. He was directly to my supervisor and told him, my professor didn't tell me the time, the room, or any information that I needed for the syllabus. But my syllabus was on holiday 3 weeks before beginning the semester. And the date, the time, and the place were there. So I didn't have to explain anything. I didn't have to say anything to defend myself. It was there. So sometimes the syllabus can be a tool you will need to explain that you were right. Mainly if you are a TA. Remember that a TA is like what is in the middle of many things. Head department, faculties, undergraduate students, colleagues. So you are interacting with a lot of people. So your syllabus at the same time should not be longer than your first reading assignment. But the problem with this is that maybe your first reading, in my case, my first reading assignment can be a novel. So I have to read a novel for the next class, for the next week. So I think that in my case, this is not a good example, because this is more than a washing machine manual, okay? So, in my opinion, I think that the best way to manage this is be clear about the main and most important information the students should have, and at the same time, try to be concise. But this is not easy, so you need time to prepare this. Another question here. How do I get students to read the syllabus? We can have different ways for this. I was reading some of them. I'm not completely, I would not use some of them, but I will tell you some of them. I think that to have a quiz about the syllabus can be a good way, but at the same time, I would avoid this, or I don't know. I was reading the information I had before this section, and it said that you can have a quiz and you can give the students extra points for this quiz. It can be a good idea. Any other idea that you can have, personally, for make the students to read the syllabus?
Send them an email, tell them read the syllabus, and we will discuss that in the class.
We can have a discussion on this. That's really good. Another idea, for example, can be what we had at the beginning with Shawnee, subgroups. With the syllabus, you were checking the information, and then you have a discussion. Or the same idea with groups in the class, and every group can have a specific section. And then every group should choose a person that is going to explain this section with the main information from the syllabus. And this maybe is a better way to have a discussion about the syllabus at the beginning of the semester, because sometimes our first class related to the syllabus is very boring. You are reading and explaining by yourself the syllabus, and it can be another way, a better way to engage the student with this important document. Any other idea about this?
Well, for my class, we have one project at the end of the semester, and I put the project's requirement in the syllabus. So they have to go back to it at the end of the semester and read it in order to do it. So that's another way for them to check the syllabus more often, I think.
Yes, it is true. Okay, any other?
Sorry, why it's not a good idea to take a quiz, right?
That's me talking about by myself. But when I say I think, forget about this. Thinking out loud. I should not
Because
say
I always
this.
do that, but I do it like open book, so they can access.
Okay.
They can read at the same
Yes,
time.
there is a phrase in classical Latin, qui scribis bis legit. The person who reads, no, the person who writes is reading 2 times. It sounds very good in English. At least my version right now. I am translating, trying in my mind. So yes, it is a good idea. You can have a quiz, and they can use the syllabus directly, and they can say, yeah, this is the information. They are reading and writing the same information, and this is a good way to engage them. They don't have to study the syllabus. That's what I was thinking. I cannot imagine someone reading 12 pages and studying the syllabus, because one question here was, when the quiz about the syllabus, when is the due date of the work in the sixth week? No. If I have to know the specific day, I have the deadline to submit a homework or online homework, and I have to study this for a quiz, I think that this is too much. That's why I was saying this. But your idea is very good. Maybe that was what I was reading, your idea, and I was not reading completely awake. Any other idea?
I've seen some syllabuses that are really, I mean, it's almost like a few pages out of a magazine. The only challenge that I'm aware there is, well, of course, the time to make it, and it's not something that you can just print off, 300 of, because, it's a full color document with images and things like that. But it definitely catches the eye and makes it interesting to read.
We have some examples here, exactly about what you were saying. Real time?
We have until 6:30.
Okay.
It's only 6.
Okay. So you can take one of these and you can pass the others. And here you have another. You're right. You have to spend a lot of ink with this. And I want to know your opinion about this. This is another different.
Just take one per group because it's not enough for the whole.
Yes. And this way you can compare one with another. Just take one per group, and this way you can compare one with the other.
Some of you might already have it. Your group already has one. Pass it on to the
And my question for you about this syllabus or this syllabi is, will you take this course? Will you take this class, and why?
So this is like the style of how they make comic books and stuff. Like there's events, but that's the one it's like
I did in my undergrad. But I already heard it from somebody who had it for me.
So my first question for you is, will you take a class with this kind of syllabus? Okay, will you take one of these classes? Why?
I guess along those same lines that we were talking about the other syllabus, it shows that the professor wants to put a lot of time and effort into teaching.
Can he share which syllabus of the two he's looking at? Because there's 2 different types.
Oh,
The
I was
US
looking
history?
at this one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Which
Do you think it's a good design? So it can be as well a good discussion. The best design to use in a syllabus. Okay, yes. It was one of the suggestions that we had here before, that the students try to imagine or to answer some ideas thinking that they are the professors preparing the syllabus. Mainly with the information from the syllabus that was already prepared. Okay. You don't have to write this, but I would like to know, I will give you some seconds or a minute for you to think about 3 things that you have learned that, during this section that you will implement in your syllabus. Mainly ideas or information that you didn't know before you came and attended this section. Take some seconds to think, and please let me know if you have any.
Maybe the tone of the student. Yeah, we should be careful.
Yes, mainly if we are international TAs, this is important because
Because they're like just came from like different cultures.
exactly. And maybe what is normal and a good tone in your university in our countries, maybe it's different here. So that's important. Any other thing that you are going to implement in your syllabus?
Ask my students to design the syllabus.
Okay.
So, give them the content.
So do you teach architecture?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good.
But like in first year, that we teach communication, so Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. So they have to do stuff like that for their portfolios, and we can ask them for as an exercise to do that.
And mainly when they go to find work, because they have to choose to show their own syllabus. So this is a very good idea for a portfolio. I have to do something like this in my own portfolio. Okay, any other idea? Or anything that you didn't know and you learned here today?
Please keep it clear and concise.
Okay, that's very important. Okay, it takes time, but it's necessary. Mainly if you don't want to cut and paste the information from the website. Okay, here we have. Did we say that Maria Lasso prepared this at the beginning? Yes. Okay, I repeat this. And we didn't say that. Okay, so Maria Lasso prepared this information that we are using today in this section.
So since you mentioned it's like a contract, can we, like instructors, for example, something comes up during the semester and they, because of lack of experience or anything like that, they didn't, they weren't careful to put it in the syllabus, but they think if they don't do it at the end of the semester, it will be problematic for them. So can they change it or add 1 or 2 lines for some of the policies in the syllabus during the semester,
Yes.
or not?
I think, but you should say this before beginning the semester. I mean, even in your own syllabus, you can say this section can change according to the develop of our class.
You know, sometimes you think you don't think you will change it, but something comes up and you need. I mean, it's probably even if you don't change it, nothing happens. But it's safer in terms of being a contract, to add that, and if something comes up at the end of the semester, you're not like responsible. Held responsible for that. So can we do that or not? And if we can, should we tell the students that part is added, or not? Just don't care and ignore telling the students. Just add it there and upload it. Or update the file on eCampus or how we. So.
In our general experience, we are first syllabus readers. Okay, so we have been reading a lot of syllabus. Mm-hmm. In my experience, I would avoid this, but in my experience, for example, I have had some graduate course in general where the professors say it can change according to the lab of our classes. This is fine. If you think from the beginning of the semester that something important can change, you should tell your students that. But in general, my experience is that this is in red, read it with red letters in the syllabus, and you explain this. I would try to avoid this, but if it is necessary, it depends on the course you're teaching. It depends on maybe you were waiting for someone who would be here on campus and this person didn't arrive, or it was it can happen.
I had a professor. That's the way she do the syllabus. Like she separate the first part from the schedule part of the syllabus, and she upload 2 separate files to eCampus. So like every time we have any schedule change or we are not making the expected progress during the semester, she puts some change into the second file with all the lines that she wants to add in there, and not really editing the first one.
I meant mostly the policy. For example,
you can add policy in the schedule part. You tell the student at the beginning of the semester that this will constantly change, and you need to look at eCampus every week before Monday to look at this part and to see if there's any update in there. And she puts a hotline for their like updated at the date, blah blah blah, and then you need to be aware of something that she changed in there. So I guess that's just a solution to that problem, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to kind of tease it out practically. So you mentioned policy. So let's think what would be policy in syllabus. You would have ADA statement as a policy. You'd have attendance as a policy. You'd have grading as a policy. Those things you probably would not, definitely ADA, that's a federal law there. But attendance, I would not change your attendance policy mid-year. I would not change your grading. In fact, even related to schedules, you can shift around your topics and homeworks, but usually the exam ones, you have to leave on the date that you set unless all of your students were to agree to change that date. So going with that question again, can we change things in the syllabus? Yes, you can. Can you change policy in the syllabus? Well, let's think about it. ADA statement. I'm going to change my attendance policy. Can I change that mid-year? Can I change my grading? I would say avoid that. Now, the good thing about being an instructor, though, is chances are you're going to teach that course again. And sometimes we just have to take the hard punch, the failure, and then the next time you teach it, you cover yourself better. But I wouldn't recommend changing it. There is something called student evaluations. And you're going to just frazzle your undergrads.
Yeah, I specifically meant like eating during the class or drinking, or like juice or those stuff. We use up electronics. Those types of policies I meant actually. So
I suppose those lighter ones you could. Or you could maybe kind of address it initially with just a good talking to them face to face and not really worry about rewriting your syllabus and uploading. But give them a good talk and justify why. Your rappers or you're leaving the class messy.
Exactly. In my building right now we have this program. In general, in our syllabus, we don't have this information about food, for example. And we are having some problems with the carpets, and we receive an email from the department about this, and then the department decided to inform this directly on the wall or on the door, so it can be another possibility. I have had exactly this situation, but I didn't have to explain to the students this. The department took this responsibility and they decided this. But at the same time, the syllabus, and this should be another part of another section, the syllabus is not the only one way you manage, and you decide the way to behave or have rules with the students. You can talk with them directly about these kind of things, for example. Okay. Any other question?
About these federal policies and housekeeping rules, shouldn't these be institutional or departmental and be the same across the board so that there's no gray area for students because they don't have to remember specific housekeeping policies for one class and other rules for other class? Shouldn't they be constant? I mean, federal laws shouldn't change. I can't write my own ADA policy. It should be something institutional. So shouldn't it be more of a copy-paste thing rather than me writing something?
It depends. Sometimes copying and pasting is too much information. Mainly you can say this only one line, and you don't need to take the whole part of explaining specifically what is this exactly.
So I can rephrase it, but the actual law is laid down, so I can't really change anything about that.
Yes, but you know that the students in general don't read these laws. So if it is important to have this information in the syllabus, try to say this with a few words.
My concern is I don't have to formulate it. It's already out there for every institution. I can rephrase it to make it more accessible to the students.
Yes.
That's all.
It's you being kind. Yes.
So like ADA, things like that, you can't change, but things like housekeeping rules and the things that you want for your classroom, that can change per professor. So students will have to remember that for each class, you know, and you're not necessarily, it's not, I don't think you're going to have like strict rules like don't look me in the eye, you know, like anything, you know, if you like sit 2 inches above where I'm sitting, you know, I don't think it's going to be anything that deep and that detailed, but for instance, if you don't want students to eat in your classroom, that's something that you can say, and if you don't want students to be on Facebook or be on their laptop, that's something that you can say, and that may not be true for another course, but it's just the type of atmosphere that you want and the type of classroom climate that you want to create for your students. And if you feel like that's what's best for you in your classroom, it can be different than what other professors have. That's not set in stone. That's the type of tone and type of classroom environment that you want to have for your students. So that's up to you.
Okay, so here we have some resources or references, and that's all. Thank you very much for being here.